What if your thoughts weren't just these random passing clouds in your mind? What if they were the actual architects of your reality? For, centuries, that idea was pretty much left to the mystics. But today? Today, neuroscience is pulling back the curtain, and honestly, what it's finding is extraordinary.
I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? You see two people with pretty much the same talent, same resources, and yet one of them just skyrockets to success while the other feels like they're running in place. Is that just luck? Or is one of them, maybe without even knowing it, tapping into a hidden feature of the human brain?
Look, the whole idea of manifesting your reality, it often gets a bad rap, dismissed as wishful thinking or some kind of magical woo-woo. But what if it isn't magic at all? What if the principles behind it are actually rooted in tangible, predictable functions of our own brains?
This is exactly where science is starting to map out what used to be considered, metaphysical. Your brain isn't just a passive camera, simply recording the world as it is. No, it's way more like an active artist, constantly painting your reality based on the specific instructions you give it.
Okay, so how in the world does this actually happen? Well, the whole process starts with this really powerful and mostly unconscious gatekeeper that's inside your brain.
It's called the Reticular Activating System, or for short, the RAS. The easiest way to think of it is like a bouncer for your conscious mind. Every single second, millions of bits of data are trying to get your attention. The RAS stands at the door and only lets in what it thinks is important to you. And who gives it the guest list? You do.
You have absolutely experienced this yourself. Ever decide you want a specific car, let's say a red one, and then all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere? Did the number of red cars on the road magically triple overnight? Of course not. Your brain's filter did. You gave your RAS a new assignment, and it immediately started highlighting every single match you could find.
This means that when you get really focused on a new goal, and suddenly you start seeing signs and opportunities everywhere, it's not some big cosmic coincidence. It is your own selective attention doing its job. You have literally reprogrammed your internal filter, and by doing that, you've changed the world you experienced.
So, this brings us to a really critical question. If we can kind of passively program our RAS to spot red cars, can we actively program it to see opportunities, find solutions, and spot the pathways to success? The answer is a huge, resounding yes, and the tool we use is mental rehearsal.
Now, this is a concept that is genuinely mind-bending. It's called functional equivalence. And what it means is that to your brain, a vividly imagined experience is almost indistinguishable from a real one. It lights up the very same neural pathways. This is neuroplasticity in action. Your thoughts aren't just these abstract little things. They are physically changing the structure of your brain. You're building the neural highways for a future you haven't even lived yet.
But you might be asking, does this stuff actually work? The evidence is, it's stunning. In one study, they compared two groups learning a physical task. The group that actually practiced improved by 24%. Totally makes sense. But the group that only mentally rehearsed the task, they improved by 23%. Almost the exact same amount, without ever lifting a finger. They literally built the blueprint for success in their minds.
And this isn't just some strange thing that happens in a lab. It is a core training technique for the world's absolute highest performers. Elite athletes like Lindsey Vonn, Michael Phelps, they don't just train their bodies, they meticulously train their minds. By the time the actual event starts, their brains have run that simulation so many times that success feels familiar, almost like it's already happened.
So how do you do it effectively? Well, science points to a few key rules. First, don't just daydream about holding the trophy. You have to visualize the gritty, detailed steps it takes to get there. Second, make it a full-on multi-sensory movie in your mind. What do you see, hear, smell, feel? Third, do it consistently, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes a day. And probably most important, feel the emotion of the outcome as if it's already yours. But mental practice, as powerful as it is, isn't the whole story. To truly reshape your reality, you've got to go one level deeper, down to the core beliefs that actually define your identity.
And it's here that we find this absolutely stunning overlap with one of psychology's most proven tools, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Both of these systems work on the exact same principle, rewriting your core beliefs. It doesn't matter if you call it cognitive restructuring or replacing limiting beliefs, the goal is identical. Change the story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you.
This all taps into an incredibly powerful psychological principle, this self-fulfilling prophecy.
The idea that your expectations don't just predict the future, they actively help create it. Let me show you a really bizarre and brilliant example of this in action.
So, back in the early 20th century, audiences all over Europe were just floored by a horse named Clever Hans. This horse could apparently answer complex math problems just by tapping his hoof. They even had a panel of scientists investigate, and they all confirmed there was no trickery from his owner.
But here's the twist. Clever Hans wasn't a mathematician. A psychologist eventually figured out that the horse was simply an expert at reading people. As he tapped his hoof, the audience would get tense with anticipation, and as soon as he reached the correct number, they would unconsciously relax just a tiny bit, which was his signal to stop. The audience's collective belief in the right answer was creating the very reality they were witnessing. It's incredible.
Your brain works just like that audience. It absolutely craves consistency. It cannot stand a conflict between who you believe you are and what you do. This internal friction has a name. It's called cognitive dissonance. So, if you truly believe you're a healthy person, your brain will subconsciously push you to make healthy choices, just to get rid of that uncomfortable inner conflict.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We see it's not just one single mechanism. It's a really powerful, interconnected feedback loop that's running all the time.
It's a cycle that reinforces itself. It all starts with your core belief about who you are. That belief is the fuel for your visualization. That visualization then programs your brain's filter, your RAS, to spot opportunities you would have otherwise completely missed. And when you take action on those opportunities and get results, well, that powerfully reinforces your original belief. And then the engine just starts to run on its own.
So how can you actually put this to work in your life? It really comes down to 4 practical steps. Number 1, define your goal with absolute crystal clarity. 2, visualize the process, not just the finish line. 3, make it feel totally real by engaging your senses and feeling the emotions. And 4, the most critical step of all, take aligned action. Visualization is the launch sequence, action is the rocket fuel.
As the philosopher Neville Goddard so brilliantly put it, the key is to fully assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You have to embody that state, mentally and emotionally, because, as neuroscience is now clearly showing us, the reality you experience tomorrow is being built by the imagination you choose to inhabit today.
So ultimately, it really comes down to this one simple fact. Your brain's filter is always on. It is working right now, this very second, shaping the world you perceive. So the only question that really matters is, what instructions are you giving it? What are you telling it to look for?